Billiken fans, welcome back. It is Zach Miller and Peter Hale, and it's the Midtown Madness Podcast. Before we get going, thank you all so much for listening. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure you're commenting. You guys have been slacking on us. We really appreciate it when you drop a comment down below. If you got something to if you have on your mind, even if we don't talk about something, if you think anything, if you know anything that we're not talking about, we want to hear about it. We want to talk about it. Hit the comments down below. It really does help. It is season 5. And once again, the Midtown Madness Podcast is brought to you by Two Men in a Garden. I think it goes without saying. I think everyone in this that listens to this podcast on the regular knows this, but I have to say it. I don't have to say it. I want to say it. Two Men in a Garden salsa is my absolute favorite salsa, and it is local. It's made fresh with simple ingredients. It's just absolutely delicious. If you did not include it in your Cinco de Mayo celebration, if you happen to celebrate at home, that's a huge mistake. You've got 364 days to rectify that mistake. Make sure you pick up Two Men in a Garden next time you hit the store. If you like it mild, medium, or hot, it really doesn't matter because they have the flavor to suit your individual preferences. You can get your favorite flavor delivered right to your door. If you don't want to hit the store, for just $9.99 flat rate shipping, no matter where you are in the continental U.S. Two Men in a Garden, you can visit them online at twomeninthegarden.com. Shop your favorite flavors, learn more about their Kitchen Hub STL, and don't forget to follow them on social media at Two Men Salsa on Instagram and Twitter for the latest updates. Pete, my voice, what is going on? Not a lot to talk about. Like, there's a lot to talk about, but there's not a lot to talk about. But we're going to make it a lot.
Yeah, I disagree. I'm looking through the notes here, Zach. I see a lot of good subjects. You know, some of them we'll fire through pretty quickly, but I think some of these have some meat on the bone. Yeah,
I definitely want to give it its due, but I think I'd be remiss if I didn't mention how excited I am about the trajectory of baseball and softball right now.
They're playing great. We'll get into that. Both of them, softball, they cooled off a little bit from their super hot streak, but they got a lot of postseason awards. They're heading into the conference tournament. They're in a really good spot, even though they didn't get the 1 seed. But yeah, we'll get into all of it. And baseball, out there setting records on the diamond this week.
Men's basketball. Let's kick it off with the topic everyone who listens to this show, I think everyone, no, not necessarily. Most of our listeners are familiar with Jordan Goodwin. Game 5, his Lakers are eliminated by the Minnesota T-Wolves, and Jordan Goodwin did not play. Is it time to fire JJ Redick if you're a Laker fan?
Yeah, I think so, Zach. I think a lot of Lakers fans, a lot of NBA fans in general are saying they see that DNP coach's decision next to Goodwin's name, early exit from the playoffs. And, a lot of speculation about whether his job will be safe after this.
Yeah, I got to think of I always think of that scene in The Replacements where the
Keanu Reeves, yes.
The sideline. No, well, yes, of course. But I'm talking about Gene Hackman, the interview when he's going into the locker room. Martell's crossed. They're playing terribly. And he looks into the camera and he says, the sideline reporter asks him, "What do you need in the second half?" And he looks in the camera and says, "We got to have heart." And that's Keanu Reeves' sign that he's got to get to the stadium and suit up and play. And I imagine that JJ Redick going into the locker room every halftime of the games they lost, right? They lost 4 games in a row, or 4 out of 5, right? I just imagine, JJ Redick looking around the locker room for his Shane Falco. And he's got it in number 30, Jay Good.
He does. I don't know why he didn't call his number, though, in this game 5. But I don't know. What can you do, Zach? Hopefully everybody learns from this. And what I want to see is him on an opening day roster next season. To hopefully with the Lakers, hopefully he's still there. getting his opportunity, but you got to give him so much credit for giving himself as many opportunities as he has at the league in the league already at this point. And yeah, man, I'm proud of him. Want to see him keep going.
They got to make room though for Bryce James, of course.
That's the most important thing. Got to keep that spot open.
So worried about Goodwin from that perspective. Let's talk about current day Billiken basketball here. Medical waivers. It had been widely discussed. It was pretty confident that we thought we'd get them. I got a mouse in my pocket, Pete, as my mom would say. Brady Dunlap and Trey Green both had their medical hardship waivers approved. This officially gives both players 3 seasons of eligibility remaining. This is big news.
It's huge news. I mean, there's nothing guaranteed anymore on these rosters. Guys come and go every year, but just the fact that they have 3 years left instead of 2 or 1, I mean, it's a big deal. And we've been good at retention, right? I mean, like, this team's been good at retaining the guys that they have room for, that they want to keep, that they have a role for year to year. And I know that's a big focus, going forward. And then when you look at the class allocation, like the balance between classes, that's now in better shape than it otherwise would be, because you've got 4 seniors in Avila, Anya, Brown, and Otieno, Thames and Jones with 2 years left, Sharma, Green, Dunlap, Warlick, man, and McCautry with 3 years, and then you've got the 3 incoming freshmen. Yeah, so the freshman obviously with 4 years remaining. So you've got nice balance between the classes now. That's 8 guys who have 3 or more years of eligibility on the roster. So there's a lot of youth there, and it's huge. It's huge just to see these guys get that. And actually, I wouldn't be surprised if Thames winds up getting another one too, but that's not definitive yet.
Why was the first thing when you say that these guys come and go, is all I could think of is Karma Chameleon? Like, it's embarrassing, but that's kind of the situation in my head.
That's on you.
Yeah, that's a situation in my head right now. Which, I mean, there are worse songs.
I can't explain that.
There are worse songs, and not many, but there are. Kellen Thames. What a stark difference from just a week ago, 2 weeks ago, at this point.
Yeah.
Because like we talked about it around conference tournament, right? We talked about how there was rumor that, he was, for all intents and purposes, cleared to try to play, right? Yeah. And for weeks now, months, it has been almost a dire tone when it comes to not necessarily like, I don't want to make it sound crazy, but like not in any serious way in regards to Kellen Thames' health and well-being, but as far as Kellen Thames, the basketball player, everything was a bit dire in tone.
For sure. And honestly, I kind of thought that was going to keep going on longer and longer. I thought we were going to get this all the way up until like August. You know what I mean? Like when people started showing back up on campus for class and things like that. I thought this was going to keep going on for months, not really knowing, speculation. And then you say dire tone, and I think probably a lot of that is just them sort of hedging, right? It's just them sort of saying, like, being as conservative as possible, setting low expectations, like, don't get your hopes up that he's a big piece for this season, because we just don't know. So what's so reassuring to me is that it's May 6th as you and I talk right now. And what we know is that he's been cleared for workouts and practices this offseason. He's doing individual workouts. He's expected to be with the team when they start summer practice on June 1st, which is less than 4 weeks from now. And that's just, it's incredible to see this big development, this change in tone. Even though nothing, again, is guaranteed, especially with his medical condition, nothing's 100%. But man, this feels a lot better than it did before, Zach.
Yeah, I do find it funny that, it's kind of, the changing, the consistent, I don't know. It reminds me a lot of how the timeline of Josh Shirts. Shout out Michael Shirts, by the way. Great Twitter user. Yeah, funny guy. Josh Shirts talked about the negotiations with St. Louis University, and it's kind of moved from they didn't start talking until after the NIT to it's back to like the MVC tournament now. It's just very funny to me. It kind of reminds me of that.
For sure. Like it just, it sort of trickles out, right? Like it's not a consistent, steady news. You just kind of get these like little bursts of information every once in a while. As soon as you've kind of like forgotten about the story, there it comes again, and there's a little bit more.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know, man. It's just strange. But the quotes, Zach, that we got from Shirts and from Thames' dad.
Yeah, the one from his dad came out of nowhere. Like this stuff comes out of nowhere, right?
It did.
But it feels like it's kind of every couple of days they hit us with another piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Shirts said, we'll go into the summer. We'll let him work out and practice and see how he does. And if there's a pathway to be back and in the mix to play, he's excited to try. There's nothing medically preventing him from giving this a go. We'll have to be a little trial and error this summer to see what works and what doesn't. And then his dad said to Stu Durando that all medical tests that he underwent recently came back normal. He said the conclusion was that he sweats more than the average person, so they're coming up with a hydration plan for him. I don't know, Zach.
I think it
sounds crazy, but
I think this is a huge opportunity for an NIL deal, and I think it's got to be with one of these endurance athlete hydration and fueling companies. Like there's Martin, who sponsors Ironman. There's Precision Fuel and Hydration. There's Scratch. There's all these companies that specialize in really, really salty, sugary hydration drinks to replace all those, the stuff that's lost in sweat. And I think it's an opportunity. And I think I got to try my best to link these two worlds of mine to get Kellen Thames an NIL deal. I feel like I feel like I have to do it.
Well, get on that. I mean, like if you're going to be his NIL agent, I think you're entitled to what, a 20% cut from what we've heard?
I could use it. Wait, does that it's just a trade deal, so I get just 20% of the like packages that come in the mail? Hell yeah, I'm with it.
Or even if it's just a finder's fee, it's got to be something. But Zach, how does this change in tone have you feeling about this upcoming season? Because we've looked at this roster a number of ways already, and every time I feel like we're looking at Thames kind of like with kind of a soft line through it, or maybe his name's in gray and the others are in black ink. You know what I mean? Like it's just not a sure thing. How are you feeling at this point?
I'm just trying to will this Kellen Thames thing to happen here.
Yeah.
That's literally just on the power of positivity alone. Am I trying to like say that this is going to happen? Like even somebody at the baseball game told me that like this was Sunday, right? That it would be insane for Kellen Thames to be back this year to like 100%.
Yeah.
And then I hear this, and they pull me back in. Look, I am super excited. I am going to allow myself to be hurt here. That is how strongly I feel about Kellen Thames being back on this roster, and how much it completely changes the expectations for this season.
It does. I mean, like how many times did Shirts or other guys on the staff say that they were thinking of him as like, or he was a 15-7 guy, before he got hurt, if he was playing his full minutes. So like they are sky high on his potential, his production, and just adding him to the mix with all of these other like big athletic, guards and wings that we have. It's just like what a big versatile, just an amazing deep roster that we have compared to what we have last season. And man, is it enticing. I also am going to allow myself, like I was saying before, cautiously optimistic, but I'm throwing more and more caution to the wind with each passing week.
Oh yeah, I'm all in. I'm all in on Kellen Thames.
Yeah, let's do it.
It truly, I mean, personally for him, and then I think, I think for him as the person, I think it makes you even more happy. But for the Billikens, I think it would be just an absolute boost to this team and put us in the top 25 at some point. I mean, That's how strongly I feel about Kellen's impact. Zach Boisvert, he went on a tour day East Coast, and documented it on Twitter, to visit our boys, Dunlap, Otieno, and Brown.
Yeah, he went to a Knicks playoff game with Dunlap.
You think Dunlap covered that?
I'm sure he did. Do we follow? I guess I didn't see it. If I'm sure he put something on his his well followed social media.
I didn't check TikTok.
Boisvert shared a photo of himself with. Yeah, I don't even know how. Boisvert, though, shared a photo of himself the next day with who he called B-Ball Paul Otieno at Quinnipiac. And then he visited Dion Brown in Boston. His photo was them coming out of a boba tea place, which he apparently made Brown try. And the second shot is Brown kind of wincing like he doesn't like it, which is pretty funny. But yeah, Zach, it sounds like Boisvert was not the only one to go visit recruits. He just happened to kind of get the Northeast jaunt, but the other assistants got out there.
You listen to Zach Boisvert talk for 5 minutes. You understand why he went to the East Coast.
Oh yeah, for sure. He's an East Coast guy. He's just got that nature about him. But Schertz started having assistants visit commits or signees when he was at Indiana State because the portal recruiting timeline is just so much shorter, right? This is about strengthening relationships, forging those in a shorter amount of time. Whereas, a high school player, in some cases, you're recruiting these guys from when they're freshmen and sophomores, certainly juniors. So you have over a year, sometimes 2 or 3, to build relationships with those guys. Whereas in the portal, it's weeks, months if you're lucky. So you really have to get to know them, to get to know their families, to get them comfortable with everybody. And one of the things that he does is he sends the guys who are not the primary recruiters. So they get to know more than just one assistant coach, and they get just a holistic web of relationships within the program instead of just like, oh, these are his guys, these are his guys. So Corey Tate visited Green in Cincinnati. Gardner went out to see Jones up in Rockford, and then Putz went to see Sharma's parents in Toronto. Staff members have also gone out to see all the incoming freshmen. I think Putz will go back out to see Sharma himself soon. And it's just great to see, Zach. This was the kind of article that really, I don't know. This one just spoke to me exactly. I was just like, this is what I want to see.
I just can't. I'm trying to imagine flying out to Toronto to meet just the parents of the player. Like, I'm imagining that introduction. Like, it doesn't compute with me on how that would, like, how that goes down. Like, that's just weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you do. I mean, maybe you just go kind of, I mean, I'm sure he checked on some recruits, did some other stuff. You're always trying to kill more than, one bird with one stone when you're out there on the recruiting trail. But I imagine he, I don't know, took them out to dinner, took them out to lunch, something like that, just hung out with them, got them comfortable. The kind of thing that you think like, oh, there's several coaches on every staff and there's only 13 to 15 players to worry about. And so these relationships are easy, but it's not like that. This is something that I don't think we should take for granted that it's part of the culture of our program right now, because not every program does this. And that was true of SLU when I was there. It just didn't really happen like that.
and I think it's a really really important. It's really important in this NIL era as a school who can compete but also can't compete on monetary levels. Whether it be in conference or on the national stage. So you talked about and I don't want to kick a dead horse or whatever, but Travis Ford's recruiting was not necessarily the same level of relationship building. I think there were, I think he was a great, very, he was very convincing, very, charming, mm-hmm. Very, he had that kind of vibe, right? Whereas this is more of like a deeper kind of white glove treatment for your players and their families as an experience here at SLU. And I think that's really what sets him going to set Josh Schertz apart in this era. If he does indeed if he is indeed successful here. Oh,
yeah, it's kind of a subjective thing, right? You mentioned Ford, and Ford really does have a good way with people. He was great on our show. Like he's a
charismatic. Charismatic exactly. Is the word I was looking for.
Yeah, he's a charismatic guy. He was always had a reputation for a good recruiter, and rightfully so. I know that the game kind of changed, but he was good at that kind of stuff. And I think there's just a difference with Schertz and his staff. They seem to kind of get it on a little bit deeper level, and they're really concerned about the individual, the person, the family. They want deeper relationships. The bonds that we've already seen with him and guys like Robbie and some of his other players are just not things that I've really seen before. And, I was a big Romar guy. He was there when I was a impressionable freshman at SLU and left after one season that I was there. But he had a way with people that I guess I would say Romar was the last SLU coach that I'm convinced had this kind of ability. And
you're saying Romar would be great on this staff.
He would actually. He would. I know he's comfortable living out in LA now, but if you wanted that like older experienced assistant, he's good in that role. But yeah, I think that this staff gets it on just a different level, and they understand that they seem to understand this generation of player and what matters and what they want in their program, and I'm all for it. I want those relationships to not just be superficial or professional or whatever they are, but to see these guys actually making those connections in each other's lives and with their families and everything. I think it's really cool, and it's going to pay dividends, and it's going to take a while, but we're going to see that.
Speaking of connections, I did get to meet and chat with Zach Boisvert Sunday at the SLU baseball game. I would tell you everything he said. It all went over my head.
No, you didn't turn your phone on record and put it in your pocket so you could catch it or anything.
I didn't. I guess I could,
next time. No. Yeah. Next time you gotta be.
The one thing I said that I do remember that I will say is that he really just gushed about Otieno and kind of his attitude and the way he's kind of wired, and this that he has good people around him. He's making decisions for the right reasons. He wasn't into all the extraneous stuff. He just wanted to come and play basketball. Yep. And so he gushed about him. And that was about the only thing I remember, other than he was there with his pup, Army, I believe is the name, if I recall correctly. And its coat looks like camouflage. Yeah. So I think that's where the name came from.
I think he also was at Army for a while.
Oh, okay.
Earlier in his career, yes.
was gonna say so was Shane Gillis, but yeah, he was. Yeah, so was Shane Gillis early in his career. At Army. Yeah, just a really. What?
Did you? Sorry, before we leave the subject of Army, did you see his post about the dog? About because that's a new dog that he just adopted, I think.
Yeah. Well, what happened?
That the dog was shot in the face. Like, did you see his like?
Oh, I didn't
stray
know
rescue.
that. I didn't know that story, but
Yeah.
it did have the cone of shame around its head.
Yeah, so the dog has like a scar, like where the bullet went in or out or whatever. And he said, like in his, I'll have to find the post, but he thinks the dog will always kind of have like a little lean to his head, probably because of nerve and other kind of damage that the shot may have done to it. But you know, they were able to successfully extract it and save the dog, and now it's with him. So. Yeah, pretty inspiring story.
He's got that story.
Dog Army.
He's got that whole ass story, and he talked my ear off about basketball.
I mean, that's who he is. Though.
I know.
The dude's
that's
a
what I'm
basketball
saying.
nerd
Like that is nuts. Like, well, dude,
it's
like tell me about your damn dog. Like I love the Billikens, but it's a dog. There's dogs. Like there's Billikens, and then there's dogs. Like, tell me about your adorable dog that got shot in the face. What the hell, man?
I mean, it's what you want in your assistant coach, though.
I know.
He's obsessed with hoop. He's obsessed with hoop.
Oh, my gosh. He's going to teach that dog how to be Air Bud, I'm sure. No, just a really interesting dude. Like I said, we'll talk your ear off about basketball in the best way. And I honestly can't help but think that his oxygen was wasted talking ball with me.
I mean, you're going to pick up some of that through some kind of osmosis or something, right?
I asked him about the manufacturing of baskets. Remember the two-man game that I liked a lot? And
sure,
he started talking about paint touches and he lost me. And it's not his fault. It's not his fault. I still don't know the answer, and it's not his fault. I want to be clear. I don't know the answer.
Wait, by the way, who went up to who? Did he recognize
I went up
you?
To him. I went up to him.
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if I had introduced myself at one of the events early on.
Yeah.
So I kind of forgot for a minute, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I had introduced him or introduced myself. So yeah, walked up to me. He had a dog, so easy to kind of walk up to. I think that's
good icebreaker, right?
Yes. Should we talk about this Robbie Avila stew on slew?
We've got to address the 800-pound pajama pants in the room. I guess I want to preface this, Zach. I think I've said this before, but I really want to reiterate. I would never complain about someone's pajama pants in a photo I just wouldn't. Is it for me? No, I'm not the kind to wear PJs to the airport or to class or anything like that. Not me. I'm an old fuddy-duddy, but I would
here's the
also
problem.
not comment on it. Is okay. So I just want to make clear, this is a two-person show, two-person Twitter account.
Listen, the lamestream media, all right, is making it out that I am against pajama pants. That I hate pajama pants. My point in the original tweet was it was a game in which Robbie struggled and turned the ball over and was slow on defense. And I said to wear pajama pants to media day the day after you sleepwalk through a game is certainly a choice. That was my point. It was half a joke, half serious. Like, I still think that like it's kind of ridiculous to have a terrible game and look slow and sluggish and then wear pajama pants. I think that's ridiculous sequence of events to happen. That was my point. Okay. It was partially just it was a joke drawing a line between sleepwalking and pajama pants. I I am the most comfortable dressing person you'll ever meet, next to pajama pants wearers. All right. I am just one step above pajama pants wearers. I love comfortable clothes, but anyway, that's my piece, and I'll leave you with that.
It's been amazing to me, the sort of shelf life of that comment. Like it initially went over like a lead balloon. It was one of those days where I was not really online. And then by the time I was aware of it, it had already been through the grinder, and a lot of people had replied to it negatively. It had been dragged on, Discord and other.
There were many fans that agreed. The silent minority, if you will.
Sure. But here we are on May 6th, 6 months later, and Stu is saying, and then there's the silliness of some people. Then there was the silliness of some people questioning things that didn't matter, such as the.
I'm sorry, it's the optics matter. Optics matter, Pete.
Maybe those fans didn't realize that many players did the same thing.
But do they sleepwalk through a game? Do they turn the ball over 7 times? Do they?
I guess I've never thought like, oh, I played bad last night, so I better dress up tomorrow. I better show up at media day in a top hat and tails, so they know I'm serious and I'm not going to turn it over next time.
Look, I'm going to show up in sweats, but I'll be damn sure that they are coordinated. All right. Whatever happened to the tracksuit? Whatever happened to the travel suit? Come on, like all the boys wearing it at Best Buy in 2011, 12, or whenever that was, 13, 14.
So it is kind of amazing to me, like the difference between what he was wearing and what they would normally wear is just that his had like SpongeBob on them or something instead of just SLU basketball. It was more or less the same idea. Like
everything is about the brand, pants. Pete.
It's. I guess so. But he said, I wear pajamas because they're comfortable and I like to have fun with it. We're not the only team to wear pajamas to practice.
You got to win. Hopefully you got to win games.
This is the end of that.
You got to win games to wear pajamas, man.
I'm just going to say, you sound like the old man out of us.
You're goddamn right. I have aged like 10 years up here in the last 2. It's ridiculous. Yeah. I don't know how his. I think it rides the fine line between actually making sense and just being patently absurd. I think it rides the fine line of being one of those two. So.
Okay.
Anyway,
it's a real Rorschach test, those sweatpants.
I hope 10 years from now, if we're still doing this, we get to interview Robbie about his pajama pants.
I would too. I would actually. I'd like to do that in about 6 months from now.
Yes, absolutely.
Years from now.
Let's talk about some 2026 offers, including a couple of brothers. And I mean that like biological brothers, Pete.
Yeah. So I had to kind of scramble to put some words together on these guys. One of them I was already pretty familiar with because SLU had shown interest in him, and that's a 6'8", 180-pound shooting guard out of Rogers, Arkansas, named Aiden Chronister. He plays at Sunrise Christian Academy in Kansas, and then plays his AAU ball with AAO Flight, which is a Puma. A brand program. Puma.
By the way, I'm really upset. Hold on. I'm upset that the lag in my connection did not properly allow my brother's joke to land.
I'm going to, just let go.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay. Fair enough.
But yeah, that one was a combination of, of getting on with the show and you skipping a little bit there. So anyway, he's a legit top 60 recruit. One of the reasons I put a recruiting bio up on him after multiple assistants were following him. I didn't initially because I was just like, he seems a little like maybe out of our league. But hopefully I'm wrong here.
I love
He's a
that movie.
sharpshooting wing. He's got great positional size, long range, quick, effortless release. He can put it on the floor, attack the basket. He's really a threat to score whenever he has the ball and wherever he has the ball. Switchable defender. He guards multiple positions. Plays with a lot of energy and confidence at both ends. Really, really like his game, his size. There's a lot there that translates to college and the pros. Like pretty seamlessly. He's got a ton of offers right now: Creighton, Indiana, Iowa, Nebraska, Mizzou, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Arizona State, Oklahoma State, TCU, Wichita State, Indiana State, and then Charleston, Troy, Central Arkansas, High Point. So quite a few offers already. We're not early to the party here, but this is a guy that they have been interested in for quite some time, recruiting for quite some time. So, take that how you will. The other two, Zach, as you said, are brothers, Gavin and Gallagher Placide. I'm going to guess Placide. I haven't heard it said.
I will just call Gavin Gallagher 2.
Okay.
If anybody gets that reference, I'll be impressed. Go ahead.
Gallagher 2. That's you're referring to the comedian.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And his brother who sued, or no, Gallagher sued his brother.
He tried to draft off of his fame, basically. Amazing stuff that I was not prepared to speak on tonight. Anyway, the Gavin and Gallagher. Gavin is the taller of the two. He's 6'11", about 220. Gallagher is 6'9", 190. He's more of a wing. They actually kind of both came up more as small forwards, but they've both grown a ton. Like when you look at their recruiting bios online, they're both listed at like 6'6" and 6'7". And then more recently, they're 6'9" and 6'11". So they've really grown fast recently. And because they kind of came up more as like wing forward types, now they're these huge guys who have more guard-like skill sets, and that's right up Josh Schertz's alley.
I pictured the Lopez brothers,
the kind of players that they.
I did not expect.
Yeah,
I pictured these guys were more as like the Lopez brothers.
They kind of have that vibe to them a little bit, actually. They're from Denver, but they play at Sunrise Christian Academy, and they also play for that same AAU program, AAO Flight, with Chronister. Cal, Iowa, and San Francisco have all offered the pair. I haven't seen anybody offer them individually. So it seems like SLU is I don't want to say early here, but certainly they have not blown up quite yet. So I'm going to quote, I've just, only familiarized myself with them in the last couple hours. So I'm going to quote 24/7 Sports last month, who wrote up one of their AAU events and said, "The Placide twins capped off an impressive weekend with a strong showing against the Jet Academy EYBL. After showing out on Saturday, Gallagher remained in a groove. On the final day, his long-range jumper was working in his favor. Additionally, he ran well in transition, was efficient putting the ball on the floor, looking to score. His ability to guard in space and force turnovers on the defensive end was also unique for someone his size. Gavin's mobility at 6'10" changes the game. He was comfortable handling the ball on the perimeter and was a true factor scoring in the lane. Both forwards have all the gifts and attributes to impact every game. Them making a climb in the rankings will be based on their consistency and overall motor, but with their size, frame, and ability to move gracefully, there's no denying the talent level that each one possesses." So he calls Gavin 6'10". Others have said 6'11". Kid's growing fast, so take that how you will. But Zach, these are all really nice, really intriguing recruits. They're the kind of players I want to see us getting in on. And I've been saying it for a while now, along with other people, but I know I'm not the only one. But there is real value to be had in high school recruiting now that everyone's attention has shifted to the portal. You can get really nice incoming freshmen, some of whom can contribute right away. And I think these guys are all projecting that way.
I really like the idea that these guys just want to play together. They're like the college basketball Sedin twins.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like there are that's always surprising to me, right? Like how many twin brothers actually do get recruited together and play together and stay together. I don't know. That's always kind of. I have a brother, but not a twin, so we wouldn't have been recruited at the same time. But it's just, you would think more often that they would want to split up and do their own thing, but I don't know.
Yeah. We got to talk about these outgoing transfers. You know which one I want to talk about first.
I'm sure it's Nick Patton, right?
Nick Patton all the way.
Yeah, Zach, Max Picard. What happened with your guy here?
He committed to SIU Carbondale on Monday. Yeah, that's big news. I mean, I think that's right.
So is Carbondale's an interesting one, right? It's been a long time rival of SLU. It's 2 hours down the road. Is this one that's is it too close for comfort? Are you happy that he's close enough to kind of keep tabs on?
I am ecstatic that Max Picard remains within stalking distance. I mean, driving distance.
It's an easy drive down to Carbondale.
Yes. I don't think he looks good in maroon, though. I don't think he's going to look good in maroon. That's a concern.
It's a tough color. It's not one that I've never really been able
He's
to
a little too fair. A little too fair
Yeah.
skin for the maroon.
Yeah, I can relate. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Nick Patton. We teased about Nick Patton. He's the last outgoing player to make his destination official. I mean, I don't think he's going to end up being on scholarship anywhere. But stranger things have happened.
Yeah, I don't think so, unless he wants to go down, a division or something like that. I guess that's always a possibility. But yeah, we'll see what he does. His dad was let go by the Bulls, recently, their director of player development. So it's going to be interesting to see what they both do, and we'll keep track of them. But with walk-ons, you normally hear a lot later in the cycle, things like that. So this is not one we're going to be like updating every week or anything like that.
Speaking of updating every week, there's more updates from the Atlantic 10 portal, and I'm sure there will be for quite a bit. First of all, Dayton, they got Bryce Hurd out of NC State, while Duquesne got one of my favorite Billiken transfers in recent memory.
Yeah, that would be Stefan Bussel. Zach.
I cringe every time you say it like that, Pete.
He's going to his third school in 3 years. Hopefully this one's the charm, but hopefully he's not too successful when they play SLU.
Yeah. Eli Wilborn is headed to James Madison. Not that anybody gave a shit. Fordham, Jace Howard. They got quite a few commits, and I'm kind of impressed here, Pete.
So Jace Howard is the son of Juwan Howard, so he's coming from Michigan. He didn't really do anything there, so it's going to be interesting to see if he's good or not. I just don't know. He just hasn't done much so far. Louis Lamond, the French player from Harvard, pretty solid player at Harvard, put up like 8-5 or something like that. So he's a guard with big size. This one kind of impressed me though, Zach, and that's Christian Henry from Eastern Michigan. He scored almost 15 points a game there. So quietly, Fordham in the last week has tacked on some real players here. They got another guy from UC Riverside, where their coach came from, Abbas Bodija. He's from Australia. He was redshirted this past year.
There are many ways you could pronounce that.
I mean,
I have no idea. I mean, you're probably right, but my God, I have no idea.
He's Australian. I don't know where what his before that was like. Yeah, where his parents are from or anything like that. I don't know, but anyway, he redshirted this past year. He's 6'10". Fordham is like kind of impressing me, Zach. Like the DeJour Reeves was really the one standout. And then there were some questions about, well, what else are they about to get around him? But between Lamond and Henry in particular, I'm like, that's 3 players right there who probably can start at Fordham and really contribute. And I don't think they're done yet. I think they've got a few more spots.
Yeah, I am going to just talk about the players that are coming in for these. Marcus Randolph is headed to LaSalle from St. Peter's. Loyola got another pair of players.
Joshua Ola Joseph from Cal, Dominic Harris at UCLA. Ola Joseph put up decent numbers at Cal. He's a
Sounds
rotation
familiar.
player. Yeah, he did. I know his name reminded me of someone else.
There was an
Ola Ajiboye. I think we recruited a couple of years ago, and he's bounced around a little bit.
Your brain is insane.
And then Dominic Harris from UCLA. He didn't really do much there, but I guess the thought is going down a level. Maybe he'll get to contribute a little bit more. So Loyola is going to have, I think, more depth than they did last season, even if they don't have their big three anymore.
Richmond got AJ Lopez out from the Maine Black Bears.
Yeah, and he put up good numbers there. So this is the first guy Richmond has brought in that I've actually thought, like, okay, there's a player who actually contributed somewhere. Maine.
When I think college basketball, I think Maine.
They are the farthest northeast team by quite a bit. The University of Maine's pretty remote. They've never made an NCAA tournament. It truly is a basketball wilderness. I still wish Cooper Flagg had gone there and been an in-state hero, but I'm corny like that. So anyway, the first guy that Richmond has gotten that I've actually been even mildly impressed with. I still think they're going to really stink this year, though. Doesn't matter.
You know what really doesn't stink, Pete, and that's 2 men in a garden.
Yeah, and you know what really doesn't stink, Zach? Their Instagram account had what are those videos called that are supposed to be like triggering to the sensations or
ASMR?
ASMR. What is it? I don't even know what that stands for.
Stupid. Yeah. It's all stupid.
I don't think it stands for stupid, but
no, it doesn't.
They did a video about a week ago, 6 days ago, and there's just a video of them stirring their habanero mango salsa, and it's like a big pot, and you see them stirring it, and it's just like they're doing kind of like figure eights in there, and it just looks and sounds, and you can almost like smell and taste it through there. If you're watching on YouTube, Zach just pulled it up. It's kind of a delight to the senses if you've ever had this stuff before. And for me, it was just maybe it's my version of an ASMR as like a guy who likes to eat a lot. I enjoyed this video quite a bit, but it's a good reminder to go follow at 2 Men Salsa on Instagram, and maybe you'll react to something like that as much as I did. And while you're at it, head over to their website, 2 Men in a Garden, and get $9.99 nationwide shipping on the mango habanero salsa and a lot more. You won't be disappointed. That's 2 Men in a Garden.
Yeah, I just had
Zach's lost in their Instagram.
Yeah, no, I wasn't lost in their Instagram. I was checking out the post from Zach Boisvert about the dog that he didn't tell me about. He didn't give me all the details about, which I'm very upset about.
Yeah, he kind of buried the lead there.
SLU women's basketball. This is a big move. Shintaria Anumele committed to Houston on Friday.
Yeah, her hometown program, and that's quite a step up. I mean, I know their women's program isn't quite what their men's program is these days. A 1 seed Final Four level team, but that's a nice step up for a freshman who showed some flashes, but really didn't get consistent performance throughout the season. But she's from Houston. I think she's got a promising future. I think it's probably a good move for her, and I gotta say, I'm impressed. Yeah,
I think the biggest thing with her was just kind of that decision making and forcing things. Otherwise, I think, she's a great player. Pete, we've been pretty critical so far of the direction of the women's basketball program. The finish of the season and the start of the portal season, and I think there's still issues and concerns to be had. But the women's basketball team got some good news this week. A recruit that we like.
They did. So we've got some new incoming transfers, Zach, and then we'll get into after we kind of go through the roster a little bit. We'll get into a commitment from 2026. But I first want to get into these 2025 recruits. One of them out of high school, and one's an incoming transfer, and kind of get your thoughts on these as well. The first one, Jada Denise. I'll say Denis or Denise. She's a 5'7" guard from Montreal, Quebec. So probably Denis. She won a provincial championship with Team Quebec and was named the Defensive Player of the Year for the Ontario Scholastic Basketball Association. She represented Canada at the U16 and 17 national team level, winning 2 silver medals in the process. Coach Tillett said, Jada has competed on the biggest stage of international basketball at her age level and comes from a championship level high school program. She's a fierce competitor who will rise to meet any competitive challenge on and off the court. Competitive spirit is one of the highest predictors of championship teammates. She can defend full court and is dangerous in the open court in transition as a facilitator and scorer. The mental toughness and intensity she plays with in practice and games separates her as a competitor and elevates team play. Denise said, the team's values aligned with mine, and I want to be part of something that challenges me and pushes me to improve. The people at SLU are already like a family to me. Zach, this is one we didn't know that they'd be getting any more incoming freshmen, but I think I heard Tillett say that they were kind of surprised that she was still available, and she seems to be a player that's kind of known for her defensive prowess.
Yeah, I mean, look, I personally, you look at this team this last year, and they had a FIBA U17 national team level player, right?
That's true.
And what's I can't think of her name right now. Rita Nazario.
Yeah.
Jinx, owe me a Coke. Yeah, and so I guess my question is what makes, I mean, obviously Canada's better at women's sports than Turkey. Portugal, sorry. I thought, why did I say Turkey? Portugal, thank you. I mean, maybe, but again, it does, raise a question, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And she's also about the same size too, 5'7". She's on the smaller side. But she's not the only 5'7" player we landed this week.
But again, hold on. Well, you said it's interesting that you how much you talked about the value in high school recruiting right now. And, Tillett said she was surprised that she was there.
Yeah, she was. And I was thinking of value more like, the NIL standpoint. I don't know what the figures look like on the women's side.
I mean, I think
I know
absolutely matters.
It's obviously a lot smaller, but it does matter though. Yeah. So I'm not sure why she was still available. Maybe there's some concern about international players and maybe, people are tightening up on international recruiting now. I don't know. I haven't necessarily seen that on a more wide scale basis, but I don't know. It's a fair question.
To think anybody, that's not that sports aren't going to get messed with. That would be career.
You would think so.
That would be the one thing that could probably galvanize the whole spiel around here. That if you can't fuck with sports, man. Let's talk about these incoming transfers because again, I'm not seeing a lot to inspire excitement.
So this one, Zach, Alexia Nelson is a 5'7" grad transfer from Towson. She spent her first 2 seasons at UMBC, then played 2 at Towson, and then just didn't play this past season. I honestly cannot figure out why because I can't find anything written about it. I'm assuming she got hurt right before the year started, but I don't know. It hasn't been confirmed anywhere.
So there's nothing on record anywhere. Are we sure that she's not like an FBI undercover agent who like went away for a year and then came back under this assumed identity? I'm just speculating here, but this is ripe for conspiracy.
So she's like She's in witness protection or something like
Yes,
that.
yes,
Under the same name. Yeah.
yes.
So,
I don't know what's going on here, but
it's
it's
not
fishy.
just me though. I mean, Stu Durando also wrote that he didn't know why, or he put, mysterious reasons or something like that. So I don't know if she was hurt. I don't know, honestly, anything about it, like why. But in her last season at Towson, she averaged just under 10 points a game, 4 rebounds a game, 3 assists, 1 steal, with a slash line of 391, 310, 685. Towson, by the way, is where new assistant coach Kalia Johnson is coming from. So I wonder if this is one of those, situations, Zach. You mentioned it, that she may have brought her with her.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the, it's, I guess,
like a package deal.
Yeah. I mean, I would expect a package deal to almost include a little bigger return, I guess. But, we'll see how, again, this could be a whole thing where the sum of the parts adds up in some way. The numbers from 3 don't really excite me. I think that's where we need to get better. Yeah. And I'm all everything in this. Defensively, we were not good, but we were not bad. It's just very odd to focus so heavily on the defense when the defense wasn't really the problem in a lot of ways.
Right.
So,
right.
But we lost a ton of players.
Said, so yeah, and we'll get into a minute like whether we think that numerically they've been replaced, right? Yeah. So Tillett said Lex is the first transfer that we began recruiting as soon as our season ended. It was evident immediately that we shared strong feelings about how to honor the game by studying it, loving our teammates, playing the game with joy. Lex can really pass the ball. She will fill our selfless stats charts every day. She sees the floor in an uncommon way that only comes from an understanding of the game that is not typical. Our fans and supporters will be delighted with the plays she connects. She plays with energy and a burst of speed on both sides of the ball that is difficult for opponents. She studied our style of play throughout the recruiting process and is eager to work with our team. She has been clear that she intends to pursue a championship in her final year, and our program is determined to reach those heights again. I thought the first sentence is the most interesting here, Zach, because she said this is the first player they wanted to recruit in the portal. Now, I knew, like she knows this assistant coach here, Kalia Johnson. So obviously you've got an assistant tipping off like, hey, we've got a player in the portal I think you'll like that kind of thing. But isn't it interesting that the first player you pursue in the portal is one who didn't play last season? And not only that, but didn't exactly put up all conference numbers at Towson. So, why is that the first player? I don't know. I mean, like, don't know, man. I don't have an explanation. But I did want to do a little bit of analysis on this, Zach, before we get into something that I am genuinely excited about for this program. But to just look at the roster right now, 11 of 15 spots are filled. Per Stu Durando, Tillett only wants to add about 2 more, which does seem a bit risky to me in case of injury and things like that, but whatever. So the seniors or grad transfers are Isabel Tillett, Alexia Nelson, and Zaya Nugent. The juniors are Jada Tiggett, who was the first recruit they landed in the portal, and Marilena Triantafili, the transfer for the 6'5" transfer from Syracuse who didn't play last season. May get a red shirt, I guess. Sophomores Hannah Wallace and Mia Bergstrom. Bergstrom appeared with Tillett in front of the press the other day, by the way, so you'd like to think she's a priority this season. Freshmen Jada Denis, Josiah Wallace, Zakira Brown, Alyssa Korkenmeyer. So let's get into, Zach, returning points per game, right? 7 players, and I'm including 2 2023-24 seasons from players who sat out last season. We just went over Nelson and then Triantafili because she sat out last season as well. So the last season they played, for those 7 players who are returning to D1 basketball, you're averaging 25.5 combined points, right, for all 7. That's 3.6 points per game per player. And that's for players coming from SLU. There are 3 of them: West Virginia, Syracuse, Towson, and NC Central. If she's only adding 2 more players to a group that averaged 25.5 points a game, those last 2 players have to be magical or something, because like this is just not a group where I see starters, right? Like this is to me a lot of reserves, a lot of role players, and that's fine. But to say I'm only going to fill two of more remaining spots, and I know the points are going to come from somewhere. This team is not going to average under 30 points a game. I understand that. And I know they've got
don't you put that evil on me.
I know they've got incoming freshmen, and that, everybody's going to step up and a lot of people are going to play bigger roles, but you're asking a lot of players who have not produced in Division One so far. And this is a great big leap of faith. And I'm willing to hear her out and see what's in store for these last remaining scholarships. But man, oh man, she is asking a lot of these players.
Yeah, I'm not at all optimistic. But again, like you said, I am here to watch it happen and talk about it. 2026 high school commitment. Again, I think this is a very good signing if we get to that point, right? It does not necessarily do it doesn't do anything for this year, and it may not do anything for 2026 either. It may never have. It may not happen. I mean, I'm not.
If this season goes poorly, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
no, I understand that, but what I would say, and the question I would pose to you, Zach, and we'll get into this in a minute, but I'm wondering, like, if she were to absolutely knock it out of the park with the incoming 2026 class, are you willing to write off whatever happens in this season? Both of which, at this point, you and I are pretty pessimistic about.
I could be convinced.
Yeah. So I think this is a good first piece, and I'll give you some reasons why. Her name's Peyton Olafson.
That's a good reason why.
You like the name?
Yeah.
Olafson is very Scandinavian.
Well, Wolf the Dentist Stanson.
Incarnate Word Academy, right? So there's number one reason to be excited. That is the winningest program in Missouri State girls high school basketball history. They had a 141 game winning streak that was snapped this season, and they still won a state title. Yeah, it was. Yeah, they lost 2 games this year. She plays her AAU ball.
What, did he have a heart attack or something?
Fee Elite. She's a 5'8" combo guard. And for Incarnate Word, she shot 44.3% as the leading three-point shooter in attempts this season. So big volume, and 44.3 is a great number. Helped them to that Missouri Class 6 state title. Her dad, Jordan, is the women's basketball head coach at Webster University and also coaches her AAU team. She had offers, Zach, from Dayton, Bonaventure, Bradley, Illinois State, Evansville, Lindenwood, SIUE, SEMO, Valpo, Eastern Michigan, Northern Iowa, North Alabama, Southern Indiana, Northern Kentucky, and probably a few more that I may have missed. But she's also really close to some other.
Pete, I gotta stop you right here. Her dad didn't offer her.
I know, she didn't want to stay home and play at Webster.
Oh,
the nerve.
Unbelievable.
But she's also
what a terrible dad.
She's really close with some other regional 2026 players who are strong prospects, like Mariah Douglas out of John Burroughs. They play on the same AAU team. By the way, she's a big fan of Julia Martinez.
That's so crazy. That's so weird to say, dude.
She would constantly retweet stuff about Julia Martinez. She just kind of loved the way she played.
I'm here. I'm here for this. I'm here for this player.
Absolutely. Yeah. You and I are absolute fans of Julia as well.
You had me at Julia Martinez.
But the other thing I want to add here is SLU was the first to offer, right? So Tillett came in, offered her early, and I think this is a really impressive long-term recruiting win. She came in on that 2026 class. They were young, offered her first. The girl got dozens of offers after that, including conference rivals like Dayton, where she did visit. She also visited some schools that didn't offer, like Mizzou. She's on the shorter side, but a really solid recruit, and that to me feels like a building block type recruit and not just a one-off. So look, I gave you all the reasons why we're pessimistic for this upcoming season right now, But if there's something longer term that can be won here, I'm willing to hear her out because I think this is a great first step in that class.
This is the first time I've actually looked up what Peyton Olofsson looks like. Okay. Pete, let's head over to the Diamond. Big, no secret. We've been out here shouting from the rooftops that both the baseball and softball teams are doing outstanding this season. Let's talk about Billiken baseball first. However well they are doing, the Billikens got their week started by getting shelled by the Cougars in a classic midweek who gives a shit matchup. And then took their frustrations out on a really terrible UMass team that's heading to the MAC with the tail between their legs.
Yes, they are, Zach.
Catch us up on this nightmare matchup with SIUE.
Yeah, so it was a 17-5 loss on Tuesday the 29th at home.
Fire Hendo.
Exactly. Yeah, he's cooked.
Love you, Hendrickson.
SLU got down 12-0 before they actually scored. They used 8 different pitchers. Starter Carl Relam had a tough day. The top 4 in SIUE's order scored 3 runs apiece. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. The 5th guy went 5 for 5 with 5 RBIs. So those first 5 just absolutely cleaned up.
Baseball's magical.
Weeknight staff games. Yeah, you're right. Magical. It's wild stuff. But speaking of wild stuff, Zach, they were out here setting records when UMass came to town this weekend.
Yeah, they were. And it all started with an 18-1 win Friday the 2nd. Why did they keep playing this game after 7? I don't know. Perhaps they didn't know how much baseball they were going to get in this weekend.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I can think of off the top of my head.
I asked that multiple times to myself this weekend. Like, why isn't there a mercy rule? Don't
there
is?
Up?
Yeah,
there is. We found out Sunday. This was just one of those games where everyone gets involved, and it led to the Billikens' largest A10 victory in program history. 10 different Billikens got at least one hit, and 10 different Billikens scored. Max McGuire led SLU. By the way, Max McGuire and Kyle Cassidy. I can't get over how much they look alike. It's scary. Except Max McGuire is 21 and Kyle Cassidy's 36, 35. So that's exactly at the time they look like. Kyle Cassidy at 35, Max McGuire at 21. They look the same right now.
I think this is the real question: is Kyle Cassidy actually Mark McGuire's son? I mean, does the timing line up with?
No, not particularly.
No, I guess
not particularly. Don't sully Brian Cassidy like that. Don't do that to Brian Cassidy.
All right. Is he Mark McGuire? I don't know.
No, I'm just asking if Kyle Cassidy is out here pretending to be Max McGuire and is to relive his college baseball dreams that he never got to accomplish.
I guess that's one way to preserve some eligibility is just alternate identity.
Ethan Sitzman, by the way, I didn't realize how much of a short king he really is. Short king. He led the Bills with 3 hits and 2 stolen bases. I think these guys might beat me up next game I go to be honest with you.
You gotta be careful what you say.
Yeah, Ian Halverson had the game's only home run, a solo shot when it was already out of hand in the 7th. Owen Kelly had a strong start, 1 earned run, 6 strikeouts, 7 innings. Richie Simprick, Justin Lee, each pitched a scoreless inning to finish it off. They followed that up with another drubbing of UMass on Sunday the 4th in game 1.
18-3 this time. So 18-1, 18-3. Incredible. Saturday's game was washed by biblical rain in the St. Louis area and pushed to Sunday morning at 10:45. Glad Cincinnati's not the only one getting biblical rain this spring, Zach.
No, and because of that rain, I think it's a good time to remind everyone that you still have to walk through at least 10 feet of wet grass to get to the bleachers behind home plate at the Billiken Sports Complex, which makes absolutely no sense. Give me some Quikrete, and I'll get out there and put it in for about $500.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so silly. So silly.
It's just that's a very little league feel, right? Like you've just walked through a bunch of grass from the parking lot and to the
I,
bleachers, and
I mean, that
yeah,
alone,
it's
like, I don't want
little
to
league.
be like, again, like that alone to me is a an actual barrier to people going to watch these games. Like
Yeah,
I can sit there
yeah,
and I could sit there and think of a guy or like, a guy thinking about taking his son to the game. And it's like, oh, that's right. There's no, like, I got to walk through the wet grass. Like I'd have to put on
right,
like my nasty shoes. I don't really want to, like, that's a barrier to go into the game. I mean, among,
right.
I mean, not to mention handicap accessible, not that it's not. So yeah, again, another one of those games. Pete, go on. I'm sorry about go on with the game. Sorry.
Hey, no, you got to rant when you got to
I
rant,
got to
man.
rant
But yeah,
sometimes.
everyone got it. Everyone got involved again. Multi-hit games from McGuire, Sitzman, Chase Beatty, Riley Ifrig, Brendan Stressler, and Hank Gomrich. Five of those six also had multiple RBIs. Beatty homered twice, with McGuire and Stressler each going yard once. Josh Cunningham gave up just one run in 6 innings for the win. Really nice win. Yeah, it helps, Zach, that UMass is, as you said, stinky, and you said
Hmm.
they had a few bad news Bears plays out there.
It was ugly, man.
Yeah,
And it, like, I mean, dropped fly balls. There was one really just very funny moment. It was a sharp hit to second base, or it was a sharp hit on the ground, or it was a pop fly that was dropped. Either way, at the end of, he couldn't corral it and like was tripping on the ball. Like
yeah,
he like stepped on the ball or like rolled over on the ball, and you could hear it's dead quiet, and you hear the coach for UMass go, "Grab the ball!" Like just loud as you could imagine. Just one of the dumbest things I've ever seen.
yeah.
I did not do that justice. I'm sure of it. Um,
Still,
but 10-0 win on Sunday in game two for those keeping score at home. That is 46 runs to 3 in a 3-game series. The 46 runs being a program record for an A10 series by the Billikens. With a 1-0 lead heading into the bottom of the third, the Billikens blew it open with 5 tallies in that frame. First, Beatty had a 2-run single down the line. Then Kamehu Sanchez hit a 3-run home run. He finished 3 for 3 with 4 RBIs and 2 runs after a solo shot for the Billikens' 10th run. Brendan Stressler went 3 for 3 with a solo shot and an RBI single. The Weber brothers combined for this win. Jack pitched 5 shutout innings for the win, and Charlie bit my finger, pitched 2 scoreless innings to finish it off. Looking at the standings, Pete, the Billikens are right there going into the final two series.
they really are. George Mason and Rhode Island are currently tied in first at 17-7. Slew's right behind them at 16-8. Davidson at 15-9. Then you get St. Joe's at 14-10. GW and Dayton are both 500, 12-12. Fordham is 11-13, and Richmond's 10-14. So it's really a pretty tight conference overall before you get down to Bonaventure, VCU, and UMass, who have 7, 7, and 6 wins, respectively. Next up, the Billikens play at Lindenwood on Tuesday, which is tonight as we speak. We're not going to spoil this one for you. We'll save it for next week. And then they head to Rhode Island for a tough weekend road series with first place implications. As I said, Rhode Island is just one game ahead of them, tied with George Mason in first place. So this one's going to come down to the wire this season, Zach.
Yeah, Rhode Island's one of the few A10 programs that has a rougher facility than SLU baseball.
And
Um,
these, yeah, and credit to them for getting it done despite it.
yes, A10 softball postseason awards. Abby Mallow, co-player of the year, first A10 player of the year in program history, also first team all conference. Absolutely deserved. Best player, wire to wire, start to finish in this Atlantic 10 softball season. Abby Mallow has been absolutely incredible. it has to be the GOAT right now. SLU college softball has to be.
I looked. Oh yeah.
Nicole Bonensteel,
program history.
maybe. You could look at a couple of the more recent players.
I mean,
But
Mallow's a junior, and she's already got home runs and RBIs, and she's on the way with some other stuff too. So, yeah, for me, she's number one. I was looking at A10 Player of the Year a couple, maybe not even two, maybe like 1 week ago, and it was really a four-player race. It was between her, the player who got co-player of the year with her, and then two others were kind of in the mix. So I knew it was going to be close for A10 Player of the Year, and
there's no
I'm really
reason that
glad
should have
she
been a
got it.
co. Pete, let's talk about the A10 soft postseason awards. Player of first player in program history, also first team all. An incredible season from Abby Mallow, co in front of player.
Yeah, no kidding, Zach. Like you said, first in program history, which is huge. First team all conference. She was great. It was really kind of a four player race, I should say. She split it with one, Sydney Wells. It could have been a couple others. There was another player from Fordham. There was a player from GW who, could have been in the mix, but I was glad Mallow got it, even if she had to split it. Although, like you said, I would have liked to see it be just her. We also had Chloe Ryan, Defensive Player of the Year at shortstop. Christy Canoyer, second Coach of the Year in 3 years. Zach, that's huge.
Yeah. I
Um,
think it's at one point was kind of worried that they may need to make a change, and these last 2
yeah,
years have been an incredible turnaround.
yeah, I think so. I was right there with you a few years ago, and so she's just been really impressive since then. Natalie Sullivan and Taylor Hockman, second team All Conference. Anna Christ and Scout Gallagher made the All Rookie team, and then Sullivan, Hockman, and Mallow made the All Academic team as well. And then Zach, they rolled up to UMass to close out the season, and this was a tough series for them.
That was it started out on the positive side, a 3-1 win from Abby Mallow, home run, 17th of the season, solo shot in the fifth, all-time program. She also third, building on an RBI double from Abby Olsis in the first. Had the complete game win, strike three. It didn't go well. Shocking final 2 games of the series.
No, it didn't. They lost 6-2 in game 2 on Friday. The winning streaks came to an end at 15 overall, 16 straight in the conference. UMass got up early, 3-0 in the first, and it was 6-0 by the time SLU got one back in the sixth, then just one more in the seventh. Those runs came on RBI doubles from Kendall Johnson and Natalie Sullivan. Isabel Royal started and took the loss. Anna Christ finished it off. 4-3 was the loss at UMass on Saturday. They walked it off to take the series. Zach, I think this was pretty surprising.
Yeah, it was. By the way, it's kind of odd looking when it says 16 straight A10 games, but only 15 overall. It's very not. It doesn't. It's counterintuitive when brain is
Yeah,
conditioned to basketball for the most.
right. It's those midweek one-offs.
Yeah, it ended Saturday the third. UMass. Did you already say all this?
Just that the score and that they walked it off.
Mentioned a cover, as you mentioned. Mallow and both homered to give SLU lead after Mascow one back, and then tied it at the bottom of the seventh. RBI single, then an RBI single in the eighth gave them the win. Chris was on the mound for the last 3 runs. It'll be the A10 Wednesday through the 7th through Saturday the 10th. The A10 tournament preview, Pete.
Yeah, unfortunately, SLU did not get the help they needed from Dayton, which wound up sweeping George Mason to reach an 8-game win streak to finish 18-5 overall to SLU's 18-7. They got the 1 seed based on win percentage because they played fewer games because of rainouts. SLU would have had to sweep UMass to keep that top spot, unfortunately. So number 1 seed Dayton will take on the winner of George Washington and St. Joe's. Luckily, SLU stays in the number 2 spot, which means a first round bye, and they'll play the winner of Fordham and Loyola Chicago. I think they went 2-1 against Fordham this season and 2-0 against Loyola. So those have both been favorable matchups. And then, from there, you've got all of the elimination scenarios. It's only the top 6 that make the tournament, and it is double elimination. So just getting a top 2 seed is really the important thing in the softball tournament to get one fewer games that you have to win to get to the finish line. So yeah, it's going to be in DC this weekend. It's going to be interesting, but I don't know, Zach. I got to feel like they got to be as confident as anybody heading into this thing.
Yeah, they will take on the winner of Fordham and Loyola Chicago Thursday at 2:30. They are on the opposite side of the bracket as Dayton, and George Mason is not there, and that is good. Yeah. Well, they were bad this year. I don't know. They've seemed to up their game recently in baseball and softball. Track and field, Pete. The A10 Championships, May 3rd and 4th in Fairfax, Virginia. Freshman Sam Lamaz set a new SLU record with a time of 47:01 in the 400-meter prelims. Then he won the event with a time of 47:25 in the finals. Big time stuff from Sam. Manny Vela, another freshman, won a silver medal in the 10K with a time of 30:30:67. Journey Edmondson won the silver in the triple jump with a distance of 12.40 meters. Madeline Rowald won bronze in the javelin with a throw of 44:31. The men finished 7th overall, and the women finished 11th. Next up will be the NCAA West Regional Final Round. Starts Wednesday the 28th in College Station, Texas. Then the outdoor track and field championships are June 11th through the 14th in where else but Eugene, Oregon. News out of field hockey. I am surprised, but not surprised. I don't know where I land, to be honest with you.
Yeah, head coach Zoe Adkins resigned after 5 seasons atop the program and a record of 16-62. Assistant coach Nicole McDowell will lead the program while they search for a new head coach. Yeah, like you said, Zach, surprising, not surprising. It's just that kind of program, right? I mean, they've got this great new facility this season. Unfortunately, it just remains a really challenged program.
It's challenging. It's a challenging and a challenged program. It is, again, it's not, I mean, it's one of the bottom rung of the programs. It is just above tennis, right?
Yeah.
In order of kind of importance. And I don't know. I mean, certainly it would be at this point, look, you're looking to hire a new coach. I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea. I mean, I know there are this isn't that simple, but to drop tennis and make a play at being competitive in this conference, because I think, putting those resources that you had, obviously the budget cuts, they probably would want to not spend all that money that would have been spent on tennis if they do get rid of tennis, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, even half of what you had for tennis, that's 2 teams, less players, but again, travel, you can put that towards other things for field hockey. And I think it would go a long way. I think it's within reason. It would be certainly a bummer to drop a program, but times are tough and you got to do what you got to do, I think.
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion. I played tennis in high school. It's one of my things. Like if I would have been good enough, I would have died to play tennis at SLU. But right now I just don't, I don't know what tennis is doing, and field hockey has an opportunity with a new stadium to maybe inject a little more life into that program. It's a tough sell. You're a Midwest program. You are bottom rung of the athletic department when it comes to resources. Your travel schedule has to be absolute hell. And you're playing teams that are whipping your ass.
Yeah.
It's dominated by East Coast teams, East Coast private schools. So again, I really field hockey's right now. It doesn't matter who's leading this program. This is going to keep happening.
Yeah, Zach, I know. I think I agree with all of that. It seems like they at least are committed to this program in the short term, conducting a search. They know they've got the facility finally. It's an easier sell than when Adkins came in 5 years ago. So
Yeah.
there are some positives here, but yeah, you've got to support the program in an ongoing way and not just kind of build them a shiny new facility and then move on, right?
Yeah. I mean, trust me, I would like to see shiny new facilities across all campus. But yeah, I think you have to, but you have to stick with the program in some sort of way. And it is the one that's on campus. And unfortunately, tennis is not. And I think my opinion is I think tennis could go. It could. I don't think we have enough resources clearly to fund the programs in a serious way. And I would rather see us fund one more program in a serious way than fund two in a non-serious way.
Yeah.
Women's soccer, Pete. The schedule has been released. This was one that I did not expect.
To come out this week or what?
Yes.
Yeah, so they start with the men and women both did, which was surprising to me. It seems like they've always been kind of staggered a little bit, but the women start with exhibitions against SEMO and Evansville at home in early August.
We've reached peak of quality, Pete.
That's right. The regular season kicks off at Kansas City on August 14th. Their other road games are Penn State, Iowa, SIUE, VCU, George Washington, St. Joe's, Rhode Island, and Fordham. And then at home, they'll play Mizzou, Indiana, Missouri State, Illinois State, Davidson, LaSalle, Duquesne, Dayton, and Loyola. Penn State was number 7 in the RPI last season. Iowa was number 12. Both of them made the Sweet 16. Indiana's the other Big Ten team on the schedule, not as good as those other two. But Missouri State actually ended up a top 100 RPI team and made the tournament as well. So once again, pretty challenging schedule for them. Doesn't feel quite as crazy as it did last year or the year before, I think. They don't have BYU. They don't have Xavier.
Yeah.
A couple of they don't have Creighton. A couple of those tougher teams they had aren't there. But picking up Iowa is a good one. On the
Makes
men's
sense
side,
though with the roster turnover.
it does, yeah. On the men's side, Zach, they announced the fall schedule, and they've got a pretty challenging one too.
Yeah, exhibitions at Notre Dame and DePaul at home. They start out with 3 straight home games against South Florida, SMU, and Seton Hall again in St. Louis. And there's a lot of S's in there. Other home games, you have SIUE, Portland, Missouri State, LaSalle, Dayton, Fordham, Blackburn, and Rhode Island. Okie Billiken on Billikens.com noted that SIUE is not listed at City Park this year.
Yeah, and then the women that they list SIUE as a road game. So the men listed as a home game, women as a road game. So maybe it's not happening there, but it could always be. It was announced later in the summer.
Yeah,
that
they did. Years. They did. However, it was a TBD. But maybe
that's true.
SLU men's soccer just got tired of getting their ass kicked in front of the fans at City Park.
Could be. I don't know.
They got to win this year. You cannot lose. It's got to be a win this year.
Yeah.
All non-conference. Oh, sorry. Other home or the road games will be Indiana, Duquesne, Akron, GW, VCU, and Loyola. All non-conference opponents at Blackburn were top 100 RPI teams. SMU was at the top at number 7. They lost to Marshall in the Elite 8 last season. The Hoosiers made the Sweet 16. They beat Akron in the prior round. Missouri State was also in the tournament and would have been SLU's opponent, but Kansas City beat SLU first and proceeded to beat the Bears. It's another gauntlet of the schedule. created by Kevin Kalish,
Yep.
the mad scientist. That's going to do it. Some challenging technical issues tonight. If it's disjointed, I do apologize. I'm working on it. And we'll do better next time. Pete, thanks for talking Bills with me, man. Go Bills.
Go Bills.